I have such sad news. You guys see this? We had our first hard frost last night. We had a very light frost 2 nights ago, which, praise God, in the last video I shared with you guys, I actually harvested all of the produce out of my garden because it was just too close to freezing. It wasn't supposed to freeze that night, but it did. And so I'm very grateful that I came out here and harvested all of the peppers, the tomatoes, everything. Pumpkins, squash, everything. Look at this. The frost like zapped the color right out of these zinnias. I should have done more harvesting. Honestly, I should have came out here and done one more final pick. My mint is still growing, of course. My basil too. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have grabbed all my basil last night, but you know what? It is what it is. I've got enough, and the garden said she's done and she's ready for rest. The other sad part of this frost is none of my tomatillos actually matured before the frost coming. They are all still very young and very green. So kind of sad. Kind of sad, but it is the end of a season. It's funny to see what plants have survived the frost. These are nasturtiums that I planted really, I mean, midsummer maybe, and they didn't get very big, of course, because they're over here in the shade and they were choked out by cherry tomatoes. But these guys didn't mind the hard frost. And even the green beans, I mean, the foliage, yes, is a little droopy, but it still has some good body to it, some good texture. I think if I had beans and I just covered them up, like if they were still, I mean, these ones were still blooming, but not enough to actually get a harvest off of. I'm just letting the pods mature so I can save the seeds. But I think if I had thrown a blanket over these, that they probably would have made it. And I think it got down to 29 is what it was. I do have these little loofahs. They're all flexible now. These guys, these aren't gonna make it, but the big loofahs, let me show y'all. A friend and I came out here last night and threw this big old tarp over our little loofah dome, tunnel, cave, whatever you want to call it, in hopes to retain some heat. Now, thankfully, this loofah plant is butted up our neighboring fence, and so it is kind of domed on the inside. Like, there's not a bunch of movement when it comes to air, which is also the downside because of disease, but with cool weather and for a frost, it was helpful. And so we threw 2 tarps over it, and then I wrapped I gotta show you. I wrapped a big loofah over there in a towel because it was the most exposed. But like these guys, they're not mature yet. I'll show you in just later on in this video what it looks like on the inside right now. But I did harvest a few of these because I had no idea what to expect. I've never grown extra long loofah before. I mean, seriously, this is probably 4 feet long here. But when I cracked one open, they were still very fleshy and there wasn't a lot of like string, you know, to make the actual loofah scrubbies out of. And so they're not mature yet. And ideally you would leave them on the vine until they start to brown is what people say. Though I in learning, I have read that sometimes people actually pick them when they're green because they're easier to peel. I don't know. I was told that they don't like a frost. And these guys didn't mind it. They're still very cold. Like they feel like they've definitely been frozen. So the heat of the day will actually tell me how they made it through. These guys, I might just harvest them if anything, especially these little ones. These ones are probably zapped from the frost, but like this guy still has a pretty hard flesh and texture. Like it's not as bendy. And they say you can eat them like zucchini. So I might like pick some of these smaller ones and do some sort of stir fry. Probably make some dinner meals out of it because I'm going to have plenty. They're all over. They're everywhere. So we'll see. I don't know. This is all an experiment. And it looks like my radishes are doing okay. The beets that have just they've grown way too big now at this point. They can go to seed and I'll save those seeds too. They probably won't go to seed at this point in the season, and then my rocket arugula, this stuff went to seed a long time ago. I gotta get the tomatoes out of it. It's so sad. So sad. But this rocket arugula did great. I mean, it got 29 degrees last night, guys, and it's still looking lovely. Now, this is all bolted, so don't get me wrong. This is all bolted. Let's give it a try, actually. So spicy. I love arugula, but man, that was spicy. This is still good. Like, I would pick it and put it in burgers, in salads and stuff, even after it has bolted. I mean, this thing is like, it's thick. It's not just a leaf of lettuce anymore. This is thick. It's like a bush. I will absolutely be planting rocket arugula from Organo Republic every single year now. This time of the year is just so, there's a pumpkin, a little green pumpkin. It's not even orange yet. But this time of year is just, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this time of year here in Zone 5 because it's a super busy season, first of all. We're ramping up into the holidays. So when you work in ministry, that's also stressful. And then you have the threat of frost. So then you're jumping back and forth between, do I have blankets laid on my plants? Do I use tarps? Do I just let them go to nature? Do I need to monitor it every single night? Should I harvest? Should I not? Is it too soon? Is it going to be too late? There are just so many unknown variables, and it stresses me out. I'm not going to lie. It stresses me out. But that is the beautiful thing about the garden, is there is grace. There is so much grace in the garden that she is so forgiving, and that makes it even more enticing and inviting to even step into the garden. And what I'm learning is that every year it's different. Every year there's different struggles, there's different plans, there's different successes, there's different mysteries, there's all sorts of different turnouts to each garden. And really, that's why I keep coming back. Because the garden isn't just a place for food to be grown and for your family to be fed, but it's a place to learn. It's a place where grace can step in. It's a place where lessons are learned in hard ways and in easy ways, but in ways that don't leave you feeling guilty or shameful or wrong. It's forgiving. It is a grace-filled area. And all at the same time, it's also an empty palette. It's an empty canvas for me to paint and to be creative and to see what foods I like, what varieties I like, what grows well next to each other, what's beautiful. I mean, look at this amaranth. Tell me this is not so beautiful, even after a frost. And the white is not natural. This is from my husband. He's been finishing in the kitchen, and usually we dump liquid down here. And clearly some of his liquid had grout or something in it. But look how stinking pretty this is. It's an ancient grain. Could I use it? Could I harvest it? Yes. Am I going to? Absolutely not. I want these little seeds to fall everywhere in my yard because this is so beautiful.
Hello, baby. Hello.
And yes, wow, this garden has clearly met its match. It's earned the rest. It has earned the rest. It's put food on our table, in our fridge, in our tummies, in our freezer. She's done the work. I can't help but just stand here and in a way just reminisce on what this 2025 garden season was. And in a lot of ways, it's the beginning of something beautiful that's forming here at this physical location, this property. There's something being birthed here, and I know it, and I can feel it, and I hear it, and I see it. I see it coming together, and this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of something beautiful that's forming right here in our backyard. And to think all of these plants were once one seed. One seed. Doesn't that make you feel rich? Doesn't it make you feel like, wow, there's a lot of power in just one seed? And truly there is. And so, friends, if there's anything I want to leave you with, it is that there is power. There's power in planting a seed, whether it's an emotional seed, a spiritual seed, a relationship, if it's just a garden that you start to sow by seed. There's power in that. And there are doors being opened and things being unlocked when you decide to step out and to do what's uncomfortable, because you're being called to something. You're being called to steward something, to steward it well. And so I just want to encourage you that if you've made it to this part of the video, that maybe you're being called to something greater, you're being called to something higher, and that you were born here with a purpose, that you are known. The Lord knows your name, He knows who you are, and He has a calling on your life. And so hopefully it has to do with gardening, but I know that not everybody here is here because of gardening. So I hope that you are encouraged and motivated just by looking at my garden, which has met its match, like I said, the frost. But it is the end of a season and the beginning of a new season. So be encouraged, friends. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.